Ready to get started?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started with our presentation.
QR code.
If it is a
Interactive.
interactive presentation, thank you. So if you want to scan the QR code, it'll give you a second. No, I forgot it. It's in the truck. TJ. We'll get it at lunch.
We have a prize for the winner of the quiz.
Yes. I don't even know if I can find my way back to the garage. So Addie may have to give me directions. Yeah, shuttle. So today we're going to talk about regular and substantive interaction, and really depending on, we'll kind of gauge your knowledge on it. I'm sure most of you kind of know or have an idea about what it is. But we're going to talk about our process of how we kind of tackled that this last year. That was kind of one of our goals, is making sure our instructors had a good RSI in their courses. At least we're trying to. So that's mainly what we're going to talk about is our process. So if we'll leave the instructions will be up there if you didn't hop on. So
we have people scan.
We do? Oh, yeah.
Everybody got it scanned?
There should be instructions, I think, on the slides too. So if not, later on. So.
Oh, that's me.
What's happening? We'll just.
The press the wrong side of the clicker, it makes that awful sound.
Oh Lord. Okay.
I know, not my fault either.
Oh,
We don't blame you here. We'll just go. Let's just push this.
Okay.
All right. So
I was like, everybody's leaving this session.
this is we didn't introduce us in the last session, so this is Dr. Staci Taylor. She's the director for Center of Teaching and Learning, and I am Gahzzagh. I'm coordinator for instructional design and innovation at McLennan Community College in Waco, Texas. We are happy to work with y'all if y'all have questions or let us know. We also work closely with all the IDN stuff. And so if you'll have questions about that, we can talk about that later though. So did you put the survey? Okay.
Did you?
Okay.
Maybe.
So we'll just have this discussion here because I don't think we have an Mentimeter. So thoughts on courses that do not have an instructor present. So this is interactive, so feel free to, if you have, I'm sure a lot of you reviewed courses that don't have a strong instructor presence in them. What are you guys seeing most? Students what? Hate them? Yeah. Why is that though? They don't feel good. Yeah, they're not getting any support or knowledge. So what kind of brings that? What are the students, what do they experience in that course that causes them to feel that way though? Like what are you guys seeing? I can tell you what we see, but I want, like a telecourse, right? Like it runs itself. We see a lot of that too. We see a lot of third-party tools being used, and like there's, I mean, at the bare minimum, you want the instructor to make some of the content, and we also want them to participate, of course, ideally. But when they're just having things that run on their own, an instructor, yeah, that's part of this. Exactly what you're saying, that students can recognize it, right? So what about a course that does have strong instructor presence? What kind of things do you see in those kind of courses? Higher student engagement, yeah. What about from the instructor side? What are you seeing? Like what is the instructor doing in that course that makes it makes it a little bit stronger course? Yeah, actively monitoring feedback. Yes, that's perfect. I think I heard check-ins. Check-ins, yeah.
Specific guiding back from the online chat, regular.
Yeah, regular feedback is really a big one, right? So I mean, the online classes, it's really hard for us to kind of make sure that students are here for a lecture. So they can skip the video. There are some tools that you can make sure they don't, but knowing how, where the instruction is coming from is a lot from feedback, right? So that's a big one, right? So, that does show instructor presence. So. Okay, so let's take a quick poll. This is in Mentimeter.
I was worried, but
That's okay.
it's worried.
So how familiar are you with RSI? Whether it's the regulation or the
How to use it.
how to actually how to implement it in courses. And it's okay. We've seen all the levels before. We've done this training in other places, and like, what's RSI? That's okay. Good. We have a little bit. You just putting that in to make us feel better. Yeah, this is great.
It's a
I love
fancy
this. I like that. We need a big TV in our space so I can just look down. I don't have to look up. Uh-oh.
Is what?
It's all running low.
Oh, no.
All right. Well,
There is a cable.
Oh, okay.
It's just,
oh, it's not plugged. Oh, no.
Okay.
we got you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So.
Sorry, the people on Zoom, we nearly lost the connection, but we got it.
So it looks like a lot of people are unfamiliar or are leaning towards that direction with RSI, which is good because that means that we'll have a lot to talk about in our session. So.
Yep.
Okay, so if you are familiar with RSI, at least somewhat, has your institution implemented any kind of anything that you have instructors do RSI, follow RSI rules, guidelines, things like that? We got kind of a
Yes.
split.
It's per, oh, I was gonna, she asked, she asked if RSI is per institution or across the country. I don't know why I'm using this. And it's the regulation is countrywide, but if you've implemented an initiative on your campus to make sure that your faculty are following RSI in their courses is what we're kind of wanting to see if any of the schools have implemented it.
Okay, so most haven't, but there are some that have. So that's good. Another kind of split.
And how many of them are us?
Okay, so what we're going to do today, we're going to talk. We're going to give you a brief overview of what RSI is. We're going to talk about our initiative and how we kind of tackled RSI and in the classroom for our faculty, and then we'll get more of your experience as well. Those that have looked at it.
So why RSI? The Department of Education redefined it because they had already kind of defined it, but redefined regular and substantive interaction in their July 1st, 2021 ruling. And they stated the reason that they did this is they give funding. The Department of Education gives funding for schools for distance education courses, right? But not correspondence courses. So they made a definite, in their definition of distance education, they specified that distance education courses must have regular and substantive interaction. That's what differentiates it from a correspondence course that doesn't have regular and substantive interaction. If found in noncompliance, the Department of Ed could, they haven't really done this much, or they've, made rulings, but then they've backed them off. So, you're kind of, there's not been anyone like fully taken away, but Title V funding could be taken away and financial aid, students' financial aid for that school that's found in noncompliance. So essentially any money that they've given the school, they could take back from the Department of Ed. Also, if you're looking at accreditation accountability, this is also part of Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board has it in their principles of good practice that they have for accreditation. They also have SACS COC. I don't know what your accrediting agency is, but ours is SACS. But I'm sure that other ones are the same too. It's also in SACS that courses need to have RSI. That's mine. Is it? Oh, no. I drank out of yours, sorry. Quality of distance education courses. Oscar, who uses Oscar? Anybody use Oscar for their quality courses? What about Quality Matters? So we have some quality, 2 quality, 3 quality matters in Oscar. In Oscar, it's in 7 of the Oscar standards. And in Quality Matters, it's in 2 of their statements. So even though we're talking about all the regulations and stuff like that, really what it matters is the students, right? We want to make sure that the faculty are giving a human connection to the students and that the students know that the instructor's there. They know that they're, having someone that they can ask questions to, that they have someone that's on the other side of the computer reading their material and giving feedback. So, we want that personal human touch. Plus, if you're a state school, and you're getting funding from the state, you also have in now the new state funding models, you're getting money based on completion. So you're going to have more completion, the more quality of course you are. So, it is kind of a money side too. Teacher presence is found as the #1 reason students complete, and I'm sure we kind of know that as instructional designers. It increases online retention and increases student satisfaction if you have regular and substantive interaction. Is there an issue? Oh, like us or the PowerPoint? The PowerPoint isn't?
No, the us.
Oh, that's okay. They don't need to see
They don't
us.
need to see us.
Oh, can y'all hear us? I can see Kristen Wilson. Kristen, can you see us or hear us? Oh, there we go. Nope. She was like, I do not want people seeing me talking.
We see you, and it's like, no, I'm done.
Yeah. Okay. Oh. Yeah. Oh, I clicked the wrong one. Sorry. Okay, so what is RSI? So RSI, regular and substantive interaction, is consistent and meaningful engagement between the instructor and the student. And we'll kind of talk about ways that you can get that, but consistent, meaningful engagement, where the instructor is actually the one engaging with the student. Some ways that this can be assessed is it needs to be initiated by the instructor. It needs to be scheduled and predictable. That's part of RSI, so that's part of the definition. It can't just be willy-nilly or maybe once a semester. It has to be on a scheduled basis, maybe like weekly or per unit, or, it needs to be scheduled. And it needs to be academic in nature. Just, writing an email and being like, hey, how are y'all today? That doesn't count. It needs to be something about the content. I saw that y'all were last week in the discussion board, y'all had some confusion on this topic. This is an explanation of what that was. I noticed that y'all had some misunderstandings on this. So you're noticing that they've had issues in something, you're redirecting them, and you're giving them the academic content information. The wheel of RSI. There's several of these out here. These are the way that they've listed is that you must include at least 2 forms of RSI in a course. This is some ways that you can use RSI. So with direct instruction, the instructor actually giving instruction, assessing or providing feedback to the student. So direct instruction could be video, maybe announcements where they did just like I said, where they're like, last week, maybe you didn't get this topic, or we covered this and this is how it relates to our topic this week. On feedback, it can't just be great job. It needs to be personal feedback. You didn't have this information correct, but this part was really good. Rubrics are really great for RSI. So if your instructors are doing rubrics and then they add some content or feedback on their rubrics, that's really great. Providing and responding to questions, their office hours, they have to invite the students to the office hours. They can't just like, here's my office hours, and then they never mention it again, and it's just listed there. They need to, hey, I see you're having issues with the content. Hey, I have office hours on Wednesday at 11. Can you come? If not, when can I meet you? So having that interaction. Facilitating group discussions, being present in the discussion board. So not just putting the discussion board out there and then they're not there and they just talk amongst themselves. Just like in a classroom, this instructor would probably be listening in to a discussion and then giving feedback, same thing. Other instructional activities, maybe that could be journals, virtual lab participation, maybe doing Padlet or something like that where they give some feedback. That would be some other options. Okay, we're going to have an RSI quiz, so get out your Mentimeter. This is our contest.
We do have a prize.
We do have a prize. It's in the
the
car
vicinity. It's somewhere
on
I
campus.
don't know where because this campus is so huge. But
Okay. So we'll have the question up and then we'll switch it and then you'll say whether this is RSI or not RSI.
yeah, so we'll read through the scenario, and then we'll ask you to answer if this qualifies for RSI. So in this scenario, Professor Smith posts a detailed weekly announcement summarizing key points from a previous discussion, highlighting strong student responses and explicitly connecting the week's content to learning objectives. He includes personalized feedback by name and to several students, offering guidance and inviting further dialogue in the discussion. All right, you know. Okay, here we go. Question 1 of 4. We got all our players in. All right. And I guess if an online player wins, we'll have to
mail it or
to
something.
them.
Okay.
Here we go. Ready?
Oh, did it not work?
You gotta hit the space bar, I think. Press. Oh no, enter.
Sorry, y'all kind of saw it.
Does it qualify as RSI? Fastest.
Do I use spacebar this time or do I press next?
I don't know. Good question. I think we just press next when we're. I think.
Is everybody in? Okay.
Okay. We'll show the answers at the end. So, oh no, this is our side. Yes. So, I wasn't sure how we made it this time. So this is because of the personalized feedback, because of the directed announcements, that does qualify for our side. And then the announcements that connected to course objectives, which is really good. Okay, so let's go with the next one. Okay, so in this scenario, Professor Garcia sets up weekly discussions where students must respond to detailed prompts he wrote, requiring critical thinking and application of course concepts. Professor Garcia occasionally jumps in the forum, responding briefly to random student posts with statements like "good job" or "interesting thought." Does this qualify for RSI? Okay. I have a lot of instructors, and I won't say a lot, but I will have some faculty that say, "Good job, this is participating." Is that our side? That was fast. Yes,
Yeah.
the speed counts. So, oh, there's 20. Okay, yes, this does qualify for, or I'm sorry, no, this does not qualify for RSI. So, good job on the nose, and we'll explain why on the next. So brief affirmation. So like, good job, like Staci was saying earlier, don't meet the substantive criteria of RSI. So regular, substantive, interactive. And so it needs to be more meaningful engagement, right? More than good job. All right, good job. So that's what okay, so new one. Professor Lee provides detailed written feedback on major assignments twice during a semester-long course, clearly linking student performance to specific learning outcomes, providing strategies for improvement, and inviting follow-up questions. Aside from these two assignments, students only get automated responses from quizzes and assignments. So, read that carefully. Okay, does this qualify for RSI?
Oh, why is it? Oh, it's this. Dang it.
This one was the hard one too.
They should not make it where it's like space bar, the
You know,
arrow, space bars.
well, it's you know, it's,
To make me feel
yeah,
better.
somebody, okay.
Yeah, somebody, yeah. Oh, no. There's only one.
Well, maybe I got it right then. Maybe everybody gave the same.
Maybe. Okay.
Okay, so this is likely insufficient RSI. So remember, it has to be regular, it has to be substantive, and so this is not regular enough. If the regular portion of RSI has to kind of fall within. So if it's a 16-week course, it can't just be twice, right? It needs to be more regular than that. If it's an 8-week course, maybe we start looking at a smaller. If it's like a 16-day course, or like, I don't know if y'all do mini mesters. So it kind of depends on where y'all fall. That's why it says likely insufficient. We're going to say more than likely it is, because it is a semester-long course. I'm sorry, it is not. Okay.
I know. I do press next on this one, just not on the next one.
Professor Anderson regularly sends group messages every week highlighting common misunderstandings from student assignments and offers general strategies to improve performance. Although detailed and relevant to course objectives, the feedback is directed at the whole class and never mentions individual student specific. Does this qualify for RSI? Kind of tricky.
Space.
I know.
Space bar.
This one is tricky. It's tricky.
He knows all the answers.
Yeah. Ooh, we got
a split, so let's look. And
this
see.
one is difficult. Yeah.
This one's tougher. It could arguably count as RSI due to consistent substantive feedback, but might fall short since it lacks individual interaction. Okay.
So like I may not call in, but like in my class, I may not call in specific, particular students out on an announcement. I may say like, as a class, this was a topic that, seemed like there was problems, or, half the class did not do X, Y, and Z. I need to see, this in this next week. Make sure y'all focus on that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. So yes. So technically, if I was looking at this class as an instructional designer and I was grading for RSI, I would say yes, it does count, because they are giving feedback to the students that is instructional. I mean, ideally, it would be great for you to do individualized feedback, but that doesn't really meet the definition. So.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you could do rubrics.
But with the rubric, you got to remember that the rubric still needs the feedback on top of it. So
Yeah.
as long as you're doing feedback for the individual assignment, yes.
So I guess my question on this one is, it seems appropriate if it's a class discussion to give feedback to the class at whole.
Right.
If it's an individual it makes a little more sense.
To do individual feedback, yes. Mhm.
I think it also depends on the circumstance, because if you have a whole, an individual assignment and the whole class missed this one objective, then
Yeah.
you may say, hey, I'm gonna just cover this for the entire class or the majority of that. So
But if
that-
it's like, yeah, an individual has an issue, or, you can see that they're struggling on something, or feedback on a rubric or something like that, that would be particular, then you would do an individual.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, who's an instructor? Yeah.
Well, if you're talking about feedback,
it's instructor of record, I believe.
yeah, if you're talking about feedback, but then there's.
But
other
I don't
ways
know
to
about-
do our
We don't
side.
have TSCA, so I don't really know.
Well, I mean, there's other ways to do our side.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that you could have, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know this as like part of the definition, so this is just my thoughts. I mean, I would assume that TA would kind of be an extension of the instructor, and as long as they're getting individual feedback or getting that direct feedback, I think that would count. Yeah. And I think if like the Department of Ed like saw that, they would still see like, okay, the instructor's getting that feedback. I mean, they're getting that feedback. I think that's what they care about. They don't want a student coming into a class and never hearing anything, or the class being self-run. And that's what they're trying to avoid. So I think whether it was a TA doing it or the instructor, I mean, I think that if the instructor wasn't ever visible in the class, I think that might be an issue.
Yeah, there's other
But-
forms are, so maybe the instructor may be giving the lecture in the video.
Yes.
Yeah. Cover that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, no.
That's, yeah. Maybe we should say what. Yeah. And the question was, if y'all didn't hear that, was if TAs giving feedback would count towards the instructor giving feedback. And it's not in the ruling, like I haven't seen anything about that, but I would say that it probably would work as long as, the instructor is still somewhat in there. So that was the question for those who are on Zoom. Okay, let's see how we did. Yeah.
Hello?
Did I
Yes.
Does it do anything? Like, do I have to do?
Yeah, it should show okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna blame Staci on this.
Blame me because I did it. We will randomly draw someone for the prize. How about that?
We'll hold a drawing.
Yeah.
Staci, do a drawing for us. Listen,
Like y'all were all getting it wrong.
we just started using Mentimeter. I'm gonna say that. So okay, we can move on though. We'll figure out something for a prize.
Yeah.
Oh, you are the winner. 0 points
everybody-
in total. Listen, we did this on purpose. We wanted everybody to feel good about their. We have stickers.
Everybody gets an ID and sticker.
We have stickers for everybody. IDN stickers. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, everyone. Okay, so what we did for RSI on our campus. This is you.
It's fun. Oh wait, should I be up there so they
No,
can see
you
me?
can- Go ahead. You don't have to be up here.
I know, but they got to see me, right?
Oh, you can if you want.
Okay, so what we did for RSI is we needed to communicate to our faculty and staff that, that this was happening. This was something that we needed them to be, know that there is a ruling on, and as well as what is RSI, how do they do it in their online classes. So, oh no, where did my notes go? Okay, there you go. Okay, so we built, and actually Richard, who's since retired, helped a lot with this. So I'm going to give him props for a lot of this stuff. He built a website that we put on our homepage, our MCC homepage for CTL, that kind of laid out all the instructions, gave some references to the Department of Ed website that had the ruling, and so lots of resources there for our faculty and staff. We did a lot of lunch and learns. We have a hard time getting faculty into our place. They don't like to come, so if we feed them, we found that they come more often. So we do a lot of lunch and learns for our faculty. We did open lab time because we did have faculty that were working on our side, and they wanted to say, hey, does this work? What can I do? And that worked really well. Even though we do not have faculty that come in often, they did come to our open labs quite a bit to ask questions. So we did a lot of open labs. Of course, we did one-on-one support too. We have a lot of faculty that call us up individually. Like I have some that want to work specifically with me, or we have Crystal and Claire, our other two instructional designers. They call them up and say, can you just help me, walk me through this one-on-one? So we schedule times with them, which probably a lot of y'all do. And then so part of our new instructor training is we do a teaching online fundamentals course, which all new instructors that teach online have to take. And so we have increased the emphasis of RSI in that course. And as we're probably going to do some recertification courses in the future, which will include RSI as well.
One thing that really helped us is that we had a lot of buy-in from the administration. They put it in our strategic plan for the year. So since we had it in our strategic plan, they pushed it a lot more, and the faculty kind of had to do this as part of their campus initiative. So that having the administration support was definitely a big help.
I will say, if you keep seeing this very ginger-looking individual in all of our slides, we are the Highlanders, and so we have we use ChatGPT to make a bunch of
Highlanders.
Yes, a bunch of different Highlanders. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know it's yeah. Okay, so our plan for our size continued plan is we created a form for faculty to submit what they're doing in RSI, and they would submit their form to us, and we just kind of checked the box. We made sure that it counted, right? Because some of them tried to sneak through with things, and then we kind of filed it away. I will say that we don't want to be the police on campus. Sometimes we have to be. But we want faculty to feel supported and want to work with us. So we ride a fine line sometimes. We did not make it, while we made the form mandatory, it was not mandatory for us to go and check. So just because they said they're doing it doesn't mean necessarily they were, but we're you know
It was
how
difficult.
yeah, working with faculty can sometimes be difficult, but what we didn't want to do is we didn't want to say we're going to go and babysit you. We're going to hold them responsible. So if if we get in trouble for this is on you as a faculty member. We just did our job and said, hey, this is what you needed to do. So
And we did at first try to make it mandatory, but well, not mandatory. It was mandatory for them to turn in. We were originally going to give them individual feedback on their course. They did not like that. They don't like feedback. So we kind of pivoted and instead, offered support. We did make sure that the items that they selected were RSI items. Like if they put in there, if it was a blended course, because blended counts because it's distance ed. So if it was a blended hybrid course and they put the face-to-face as part of their RSI, I sent it back and said, your face-to-face portion is not part of RSI. It needs to be part of your distance ed portion. You need to switch this out. And got them to switch it out. So we did do that to make sure that they had two legit, to quit. Two, real items listed, but, so we did have issues there. Did you have a question?
Thank you. So I have a question about when it comes to students who have experienced faculty that have not followed the RSI standards. Has there ever been a time that you've experienced a student submitting like a complaint or issue on a professor that has not complied, and then have they been given like any advice, or like is the student kind of just like, well, tough luck, you dealt with that, now we have to adjust the faculty for the future cohorts?
I don't think it was named inside this. Yes, we have had that. And it wasn't really addressed with that particular semester, but the faculty is having to re-go through TOF, or it's our training for faculty who are teaching online, and resubmit the forms and then go through it. And it's a 6-week class. So
Next week, yeah.
So depending on the severity, but at least our administration are supportive, and if they hear that something's not correct, they do contact us and ask, like, how many times has the instructor logged into the course? How much time have they spent in the course? They'll ask us those questions and we'll give it back to them and tell them, and then they'll take appropriate action. We don't do that, but their supervisor, the dean level, normally their supervisor and the dean level do.
And I'll add on to just that's kind of the end of the last part of when this instructor would not refuse to comply, because we are asked to help them, and we have worked with instructors before we got to that point to help them build their course up, and it's kind of up to them to be compliant about it. So it's but yes, if we do try to work with them as much as possible and not get deans and supervisors involved until it's just not, the instructor's just not compliant. So we don't see it very often. Most of our faculty are really good faculty and they do work with us, but yeah, so.
It's just with that, how are students that have experienced that, like, how do we think about them and how they move forward from that?
Okay, that's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know if I really have an answer for that. I mean, unfortunately, once they're in the class, I mean, they could switch to, I guess, maybe to another class, but every class on our campus is different. We don't have standard templates, so normally they can't change within the course. Instructor feedback, yeah, they can do instructor feedback on the course. They normally reach out to, maybe the division chair, department head, or the dean. We have had that. And then the instructor, kind of gets their hands slapped and has to do it. But I mean, there's not, we don't like credit their course, I don't think, or anything like that. So.
Yeah, I would say that, I don't have a really good answer either, but I would say that our work as instructional designers is probably more important now, especially after COVID and more things moved online, is that we've got to get our online course quality up to a standard where we're not having these issues. And I think a lot of instructors, especially that kind of moved onto COVID, are just like, this is a set and forget kind of course, and I just have to do grades and stuff. And so that's kind of the mentality we're getting away from, is because there's a lot that just value face-to-face a lot more. And there's a lot of value in face-to-face, but a lot more of our students, they're choosing online courses. And so making sure they're quality and making sure that part of that is the instructor presence. So hopefully that we catch it before it comes to that. But yeah, that's part of the issues we're tackling. So good.
I don't know if it was mentioned,
But what does the RSI look like for online doctoral programs where the faculty supervise dissertation writing and may take significant time, at least by some student standards, to give regular, meaningful feedback?
So on a doctorate course, so it was if a doctoral program, they have to give a lot of feedback I mean, even reaching out by email would count. I mean, I email, which, I may have only 60 students, but in a doctorate program, you're probably not going to have, a whole lot of students either. But I email each of my students individually every week. I have a template. They don't know that, but I have templates on if they've completed everything, if they didn't complete everything, and if they didn't complete anything. And, but I think emails, personalized emails, even if they're doing long feedback, just checking in with the students is probably would work in a doctoral class. If there's other assignments, but if you're just working on the dissertation, I think maybe just reaching out by email, I guess.
I think, RSI is kind of a two-way street. So if you have, like, we have a lot that say office hours count, right? Or emails count. But if students aren't responding or coming to office hours, then that doesn't count, okay? So we tell them, if you're not getting people coming to your office hours, you can't count that as RSI because there's no interaction happening, right? So office hours only count if it's being utilized. And so, I would assume that if the Department of Ed came in and looked at RSIs, like, do you have any logs of your students? So, and same thing with email. Are you keeping records that you're having these discussions? That's why we try to push things through the LMS, because there are always going to be records there, right?
Okay. So we have 3 minutes left, so I want to kind of try to get through. So this is our form that we use. This is at least the body part of it. I mean, there's a bunch of part before it that just explains what it is. We make them do 2 because if you remember on a previous slide, it said, do 2 of the following. So we make them select 2 items. We do have drop downs to try to make it easy for them. What your instructor interaction is, how regular is it, and then they have to check a box that if it's content related or not content related. And then they have to certify that they do have expectations of communication within their course. So this is how we've handled it. There's probably many ways to do it, but this is how we've done it. Our results, so for fall of 24, out of 628 sections, 31 did not submit. So we had a 95% completion rate. In spring, 578 sections of distance ed courses, 24 did not submit. So we had a 96% completion rate, which I think is really good, especially since, I mean, that's a lot of sections and a lot of instructors to get to do something. So all of them doing the exact same thing. So, I mean, and you're never going to get to 100%, people leave, people passed away, unfortunately. So, I mean, you're not going to ever get, but I think that, 95, 96% was, I think, good. So how has anybody else, we only have like 1 minute, but does anybody also implemented RSI on their campus and want to share how you did it?
Everybody's ready for lunch, so. We're going to the mic.
I know AgriLife and TEKS both are a little bit different in that a lot of our courses do not have instructors in them. They are asynchronous, right? So do y'all have any guidance or thoughts on how to model something similar in an asynchronous course?
I guess it depends on how well you can put feedback into the course. So if you can give maybe specific feedback, like if they answer this question wrong, giving specific feedback about that incorrect answer. So even though it's automated, it at least is more specific, and content related. And maybe when they finish modules, it gives them an email or it does something that says, great job on finishing this. I hope you learned these points. I mean, on asynchronous, I guess that you could maybe do something like that. For continuing learning, here's some links that might help.
Brightspace has intelligence agents, so. I'm
So we had
just-
someone that said,
yeah.
so someone said that they created a publicly available information set via SharePoint accessible to all faculty and staff to inform them about RSI. And the standards are similar to what was discussed today.
Oh, awesome.
Ta-da. Ta-da.
Just ran out of space. SharePoint, man. Much love to you if you're using SharePoint. That's tough.
We have SharePoint.
Yeah.
I
like
don't
it, but-
like it.
But that's good. You're getting the faculty the information. So that's the important thing. Okay. If we have I think we're over on time. So if we have no other questions or comments or discussion, then we're going to wrap up, I think.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Thank you. I'll close it.